I'll never forget how excited my buddy Tom was when he showed up to work for the very first time to show me his shiny new 2003 Nissan 350Z, a legendary sports car that had just been revived with much fanfare. But I never would have guessed that 20 years later that A, I would still be test driving cars for a living, and I'm very blessed to do that, and that B, that there would even still be a Z in production. But here we are with what turns out to be just the second redesign of the Z during that time span. And you know what? It all feels very familiar.
I've driven a bunch of Zs through the years, from roadsters to Nismos, sticks to automatics. Fun cars, no doubt, but they've never really charmed me to the point of craving. And that's not a slight, it's just that you form a stronger bond with certain cars more than others. That sentiment holds true here with this all-new 7th generation model. I love its toy-like appearance, heritage-inspired design, and purity of purpose. But the new twin-turbo V6 just doesn't give me all the feels, as the kids like to say, at least in terms of hitting the right notes. Over at corporate cousin Infiniti, this same 3-liter engine working through an automatic transmission performs admirably and roars to life in the Q60 Red Sport 400 Coupe. Click the link up above to hear what I'm talking about. But here, in this 6-speed equipped Z performance trim, without the benefit of the optional 9-speed sport muffler, it's ho-hum to the eardrum. So this car, for me at least, would need a new exhaust upon delivery. That being said, it delivers a 400 horsepower thrill ride with a lengthy journey to its 7,000 RPM redline. First gear sounds strained and feels a bit reluctant, but then with the next shift, the 2 small turbos begin to rocket the Z into its fun zone. That's 3rd and 4th gears on the curviest roads you can find. Trigger the Synchro Rev Match feature over here for an automatic blip of the throttle while descending gears for a smoother transition of power. But this too serves as a reminder that the Z's exhaust pipes are missing some snap, crackle, and pop. 0 to 60 is faster now despite the Z's modest weight gain, with a big boost in torque to 350 pound-feet, scrubbing that time down to the mid-4s. But this isn't a light-to-light car for cruise night, especially with the manual. The V6's power is best exploited on back roads, where the benefits from this model's performance upgrades deliver the amusement park excitement of a rear-drive 2-seater riding on rails.
The Z is a very mechanical car. The way it shifts, the way it sounds. There's an authentic and organic sports car vibe going on here for sure. Now, it's not the easiest car to shift in, say, everyday driving, but when driven as intended, this is a very satisfying conduit to this high-revving V6. And you can wring this engine out well beyond the point at which it sounds like it should be shifted. You don't have to take it all the way into the red to really dig into that deep reservoir of power, nor do you really want to, because after 5,000 RPM or so, it sounds like you are murdering this engine. And therein lies perhaps the Z's biggest disappointment. It doesn't make any pleasing sounds, neither from inside or outside of the vehicle. It's missing that key visceral element. But when these twin turbos kick in, there is big time power on tap. And as for the handling, the car feels like it is super glued to the road. Very reminiscent in that regard to the big boy GTR.
Stickier, wider rubber, a true mechanical limited slip differential, bigger brakes. It's this performance model you want if you're chasing the pinnacle of Z driving. The base sport trim forgoes these critical goodies, but regardless, both use brand name high performance clutches that have proven reliable to long use spirited driving. The pedal itself is relatively easy to modulate, but the Z's clutch and shifter combo isn't as fluid as the rowing motions found in the Toyota GR86 and Subaru BRZ. A 9-speed auto with drive modes, paddle shifters, and launch control is your other option. The revised suspension geometry maintains double wishbones in the front and a 5-link rear design, but with more impact compliance than before despite its sport-tuned nature, so the balance of ride comfort and eager handling is very agreeable. Along with the stiffer body made up of numerous strong but lightweight aluminum panels, This Z drives with more precision that's easier to attain, regardless of the driver's abilities. It never feels nervous or unbalanced, and thus lavishes the driver with point-and-shoot confidence.
I'm not a big fan of this saying, but the Z's cabin is what it is. It's not spectacular in any way, but I imagine if you're a sports car enthusiast, it will suffice. But a couple of things to think about. If you're over, say, 6 feet tall or under 5'7", the non-height adjustable seats on both sides may be an issue for you. I wish there were more performance-oriented electronics in here, say like in a Dodge. It can definitely get pretty noisy, and the infotainment system is typical Nissan, which is to say, it is okay. But once you start driving, you'll probably forget about all of these other things anyway.
The driver's seat continues to use a dial to tilt the seat bottom up and down, but it's really not the true height adjustment you're accustomed to, and there's nada on the passenger side. But there are fore and aft and seatback recline power controls on both sides. Manual lumbar and thigh support are also included for the driver. The leather seats with grippy suede-like inserts are exactly what you want in a sports car without extreme side bolstering, nor are they cumbersome for everyday use. This Z here is a prototype, so not everything is up to production standards, but the electronic displays, particularly this one with a sweet splash screen and 3 different meter displays, add some welcome modernity. You may be surprised to see items like intelligent cruise control, rear cross traffic alert, and wireless CarPlay on the Z's menu. But Nissan never skimps on safety tech, and by choosing this performance model, there are other perks, such as a Bose stereo with active noise cancellation, built-in navigation, and heated seats, though there is no wireless charge pad. And speaking of familiar, the hatchback opens to a circuitous space every 350Z and 370Z owner knows very well, with additional body bracing that doubles as a barrier between occupants and cargo. Additional storage cubbies can be found behind the seats. It's a small car, but it doesn't come across as prohibitively so. It's easy enough to drive and appropriately comfortable for the daily commute. And it still averages 20 mpg and still requires premium unleaded. Pricing starts at $40,000 for the Z Sport and $50,000 for the Z Performance, while this one with the premium two-tone paint and carpeted floor mats checks in at $53,210. And I wouldn't entertain any other color than this Ukasuchi Yellow Pearl, which is magnificent. So, as the Z and I part ways yet again, it reminds me of an old friend, the kind you appreciate more and more as time goes on, but still not your best friend. For TestDriveNow.com, I'm Steve Hammis.